From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Eziwike. Top stories tonight. Senate President Godswill Akpabio leads Nigeria's delegation to the Vatican City ahead of Saturday burial of Pope Francis. Rivers Sole Administrator Vice Admiral Ibas requests for more time to present comprehensive report to House of Representatives. UN World Food Programme says it is out of food aid stocks in Gaza due to Israel's 8-week total blockade.
In business, Tribunal upholds $220 million fine against Meta, backs FCCPC's consumer protection mandate.
And in sports, Nigeria Premier League football leaders Remo Stars are one win away from their first league crown after rivals Rivers United stumble in Kano. Details in a moment.
Thank you for joining us. Apologies for starting just a bit behind schedule. Let's begin tonight by telling you that Senate President Godswill Akpabio has led a high-level delegation to Vatican City to represent Nigeria at the funeral of Pope Francis, which is scheduled for Saturday, April the 26th, 2025. The 5-member delegation also has as members Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, Archbishop of the Sokoto Diocese, and Archbishop of the Abuja Diocese. The delegation will formally deliver a letter of condolence from President Tinubu to the acting head of the Vatican, expressing Nigeria's sympathy over the passing of Pope Francis, who breathed his last on Monday, April the 21st, at the age of 88. The sole administrator of Rivers State on Friday met behind closed doors with the House of Representatives ad hoc committee overseeing the emergency rule in the state. Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas, retired, honored the invitation of the lawmakers 10 days after the first notice was sent to him. He apologized for his previous absence and appealed to the committee to grant him additional time to prepare a comprehensive report of his stewardship. Chairman of the committee, who spoke to journalists after the meeting, described the engagement as fruitful and revealed that a new meeting date will be communicated soon.
I humbly request your understanding and the indulgence of this committee to grant me additional time to adequately prepare and present a comprehensive and constructive briefing. Given the complexities and sensitivities surrounding the current transitional period in Rivers State, it is important that any engagement with this committee is done with the depth, accuracy, and clarity it rightfully deserves. I remain fully committed to cooperating with the committee.
A new date will be communicated to him today, and he will be here, and we'll continue with our work.
Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has reassured that the Army will safeguard the lives and property of all residents in Plateau State. General Oluyede, represented by the General Officer Commanding 3 Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General Folusho Oyilola, was speaking at the commissioning of the Chief of Army Staff Special Intervention Civil-Military Cooperation Projects. The project renovated male and female wards of the Langtang General Hospital is an initiative to reinforce public support, deepen cooperation, and sustain the harmonious relationship between the Army and the civilian populace.
Funding for these projects provided by the Nigerian Army is a way of honoring our senior officers who have served with distinction. Major General Shagaya is a shining example of this legacy, and we are proud to carry forward this commitment to the community. I call upon the people of Plateau State to continue to support the Nigerian Army and all security agencies as we work together to eliminate criminal elements from our beloved state, Plateau.
The choice of the General Hospital hospitals' male and female wards was as a result of the vital role healthcare plays in enhancing community health and ensuring access to quality care. It creates safer, hygienic environment, reducing the risk of infection and promoting patient recovery. The renovation and equipping of the male and female wards of General Hospital and North by the Nigerian Army is a shining example of what can be achieved when security agencies go beyond the core mandate to touch lives and strengthen the fabric of society.
It's pride for me. I am really happy. I won't tell you lie. Very excited, and glory be to God. And I pray God that the army will come and do more things within the hospital or healthcare centers where the ordinary man and woman will benefit.
The 149th session of the National Economic Council, which held on Thursday, was not able to accommodate a conversation on the adoption of state police, citing time constraints. This is in spite of a recent wave of killings across several states. Governor Doyediri of Bayelsa said the issue was on the agenda but had to be skipped until the next meeting. Although he did not specify when that would be, NEC meetings are held on the last Thursday of the month, but have been infrequent of late. Since its meeting in December, the Council has not discussed the much-anticipated reform. Although all 36 states had submitted reports supporting a decentralized police force, the NEC deferred discussions until January 2025. The Council only sat in February, where it said the matter was not discussed. Nigeria's economic future depends on effectively harnessing and revolutionizing its critical sectors, with financial markets and infrastructure playing a pivotal role in this transformation. As such, strategically developed and seamlessly integrated financial markets have the potential to drive growth, attract investment, and generate wealth across various sectors. This conclusion was reached by speakers at the Central Securities Clearing System PLC hosting of the 2025 Africa and Middle East Depositories Association Conference. News Central's business correspondent, Chairman Dabeng, who attended, filed this report.
What's happening today?
Financial markets and infrastructure are not just catalysts but essential drivers in building a future where Nigeria thrives economically and socially. This is the summation of speakers at the second and final day of Central Securities Clearing Systems PLC hosting of the 2025 Africa and Middle East Depositories Association Conference here in Lagos, Nigeria. These advancements are more than just passing trends, as they represent a fundamental shift in the creation, exchange and protection of value within the economy. Top among these are tokenization and digital payment solutions.
We've seen gradual migration from cash onto digital platforms, with innovation being embraced, like, contactless payments coming into play, QR, the NQR from a CBDC standpoint. So there's a lot of innovation that we're seeing from a payment perspective when Nigeria is concerned. We aren't ignoring the fact that there are infrastructural limitations, like you mentioned, data, internet connectivity, electricity, and that's why I think the onus is on us as payment providers to understand how we breach that gap.
The financial world is constantly evolving, and now in the forefront are cryptocurrency, central bank digital currencies, and blockchain technologies. These have become the three major factors that could play a pivotal role in redefining Nigeria's financial sector. With its decentralized framework, cryptocurrency provides innovative avenues for investments, remittances, and transactions, empowering Nigerians to participate in the global financial network.
We've seen how it's now there are over 60 countries that have active digital currencies in place. Now, more than the actual currency, I think that it's important to see, okay, what are the benefits and what are the actual, what's the value that is bringing to the environment.
Decentralized finance brings a range of transformative benefits to the financial sector, including enhancing financial inclusion by eliminating barriers such as geographic constraints and lack of access to traditional banking services. It also promotes transparency as transactions on DeFi platforms are recorded on public blockchains, minimizing fraud and fostering fostering trust. Additionally, DeFi improves cost efficiency by removing intermediaries like banks, making financial services more affordable and accessible. Reporting for News Central Lagos, I am Chamu.
Thank you all.
Coming up, Atiku breaks silence, downplays Delta defections. We have details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Senate President Godswill Akpabio leads Nigeria's delegation to the Vatican City ahead of Saturday burial of Pope Francis. Rivers Sole Administrator Vice Admiral Ibas requests for more time to present comprehensive report to House of Representatives. UN World Food Programme says it is out of food aid stocks in Gaza due to Israel's 8-week total blockade. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has responded to the recent wave of defections from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. In a statement released on X on Friday, the 2023 presidential candidate of the PDP said it is important to state clearly that freedom of association and expression are core democratic rights, not privileges. His comments follow Wednesday's high-profile defections of Governor Sheriff Oborewori of Delta State and his predecessor, Ifeanyi Okowa, from the PDP to the All Progressive Congress, APC. In recent weeks, the PDP has lost several members to the ruling APC. Atiku said any attempt to erode these values is a direct threat to the survival of democracy in Nigeria. Away from politics for a bit, let's tell you now that the World Bank has projected that poverty will increase in Nigeria by 3% points in 5 years to 2027. The bank made this projection in its Africa Pulse report released on the sidelines of the ongoing spring meeting of the IMF and the World Bank in Washington, D.C. The report painted a dire picture of poverty in Nigeria, noting that while economic activities has shown some positive signs, the underlying challenges associated with resource dependence and fragility are projected to escalate poverty levels, demanding focused and effective governance reforms and inclusive economic policies. The report noted that while Nigeria saw higher than expected economic growth in the final quarter of 2024, particularly in its non-oil sector, the country's status as a resource-rich and fragile nation means it faces a concerning outlook for poverty reduction. Mokhtar Mohammed is a financial analyst and CEO at Finance with Mokhtar. He joins me now to share some insight on this projection. Good to have you again, Mokhtar. I mean, it looks from all sides that, as bad as it may seem, Nigeria is not totally broke. We're working hard. We're getting some results, but it is not translated to economic growth for the people. And the World Bank says the projection is factored on a lot of historical trends. What are your thoughts about this latest report?
Well, Felicita, I don't think it should be anything for us not to be concerned about, but it's nothing new. If you're in the country, you know that poverty has keep getting high by the day. The rate of Nigerians going into poverty, the rate of Nigerians able to make a living is becoming a struggle by the day. So that report didn't come to me as a surprise, and it just tells you that what we keep saying, that economic policy itself driving growth of 3-point-something% does not all go well for a population of over 200 and something million. We should be seeing double-digit growth for us to be really feel the impact of whatever economic policy that we are moving with. But as it stands now, most of those policies are taking Nigeria more into the poverty line. And so I'm not surprised by that. We need to improve in a lot of areas. If you look at that report critically, we realize that countries, especially African countries that have oil that have resources seems to be struggling and getting a lot of people into the poverty level compared to African countries that have non-oil resources, especially agricultural resources. So that tells you that the bend of African economy and the bend that will take Nigeria out of the kind of poverty level that we're seeing is the non-oil sector, especially the agricultural sector, where we have the population, then we have the market also. So for me, I think that's also a pointer to government to do more in trying to build that non-agricultural sector.
One of the things that the World Bank identified is inequality. It says this is the reason why the effects of the economic growth are not felt by everyone. According to the bank, the effects of the growth are weakened by high inequality and exclusion. What more policy interventions can the Nigerian government take to perhaps alter the World Bank projections somewhat in this regard?
Well, Felicita, again, when you talk about inequality, I think the World Bank is not even going so detailed into it. In Nigeria, when you talk about inequality, you talk about the party that you belong to. So if you don't belong to the ruling party, you suffer a lot of inequality, whether as a state or whether as a local government or whether as a senator or whatever you are. So definitely that's the highest level of inequality. And once you have political inequality, that means development will not spread to the grassroots. And that, for me, is the major challenge that we are having in Nigeria. So inequality, in a sense, is not only in the place of rule of law. We don't need to even go into that. That one is huge. We were talking about inequality as regard infrastructure, as regard development. And that is why in Nigeria today, you see a lot of state governors, a lot of campaigns coming up saying, oh, look, we cannot afford not to be part of the central government. We just have to be part of the central government to enjoy any form of development. That is the largest form of inequality that we are seeing in this country. And that needs to be addressed. We should all know that when you become a political leader, you are no more the leader of APC again. You are no more the leader of PDP. You are no more the leader of AGAB. You are no more the leader of Labour Party. You now become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So Nigeria itself should be your constituency rather than playing inequality by party. Oh, this party belongs to us and that. So for me, that's the greatest form of injustice. And that is easy to address. Once you have a leader that has the political interest of each geopolitical zone, once you have a leader that look at the peculiarity and the developmental need of each state, you're able to address this problem, and that will be a thing of the past, and then you see prosperity. But like I keep saying, if we want to build a $1 trillion economy, like we are saying that we want to do, we must improve in our GDP growth. This 3%, 4%, 5% in 20 will not take us to a $1 trillion economy. We need to do 10% double-digit growth that will touch the life of every Nigerian. Because if you build a $1 trillion economy where your people are still publishing in a lot of poverty, then what it means is that it's the foreigners that will really benefit and the money back that will benefit from those kind of economic development. So the poor of the poor will continue to become poorer and poorer by the day. So we need to do a lot of work, and especially I think the non-agricultural sector needs to be addressed, because that is the sector that can provide a lot of jobs for Nigeria, especially the unskilled Nigeria. And you and I know that we have more unskilled Nigerians than skilled Nigerians.
Yeah, but which of the sectors of the Nigerian economy have the greatest potential to drive poverty reduction, aside the ones you've mentioned?
I think it's the service sector. Outside the agricultural sector, we need to look at the service sector. And when you talk about the service sector, you talk about the informal sector. And when you talk about the informal sector, you're talking about the market woman, you're talking about the trader, you're talking about the SMEs. That is that sector that has the highest potential in terms of employment, in terms of growth, in terms of taking people out of the level of poverty. And for that sector to strive, you must improve your infrastructure. You must come up with policy that would drive growth, especially in the entrepreneurial skills, in the SME sector, in the market woman sector. We must begin to go back to the grassroots and see how we can fund some of this business to expand and create more jobs for Nigeria. For me, that is one sector that will drive growth even better than the agricultural sector, because it is the largest driver of employment in Nigeria. Over 80% of Nigerians are employed in the informal sector. And if government is able to tap into that sector, it will be a thing of the past where you talk about the bracket, the tax net or whatever, because when you do that, then when they see the infrastructure that is there, they want to pay taxes. A lot of Nigerians will keep paying taxes. And when those businesses begin to grow, they pay taxes because they see what infrastructure is helping to grow their business. So that service sector is the key driver. But for that sector to strive, both the physical and the monetary side have to come together, synergize together, see how they can help growth in terms of low cost of funding for that sector, in terms of direct intervention, not direct intervention in the sense of throwing cash to them, but direct intervention in the sense of trying to help them in developing more business skills for expansion, for development, and most especially for managing of their resources for potential growth and enlargement of their businesses.
How might investments in human capital, such as education and healthcare, contribute to poverty reduction in the long term? And how important is it that the government pay better attention here?
Look, when you talk about health and education, those are the key drivers of any economy. And when you talk about education, you talk about social investment. And so that's where this Nigerian government have been lacking behind. Now, when you talk about health, health is wealth. And so, what happens is that you don't get most of your productive, maybe your productive age gap, your youth dying of common diseases that ordinarily should have a cure. So what it means is that if you don't pay attention to the health sector, you are reducing your human capital, especially the productive sector, the Nigerian youth, because they cannot even have better health care, and that it will reduce their productivity level. Then when you talk about education, education is the bane of any civilization. Without education, there cannot be civilization, there cannot be rule of law, there cannot even be human development. So that is key. But now when you talk about education, most times in Nigeria, when you talk about education, when you tell the government about education, they always think about the building, the good infrastructure. No, educators go beyond that. We need to begin to improve our teachers. We need to improve them in terms of giving them quality training on the latest model operandi of education. That can only be gotten by the rich in this country when they send their children to good private schools. And even the private school, there are some private schools have categories. So the public schools are totally left out. And about 70% of Nigeria attend the public schools. So those are key sectors that the government need to drive, but they shouldn't just drive it in terms of building good infrastructure, good schools, putting desks. They should also think about manpower, training of the teachers, also going into that year that we've gone into a year of AI. How many of our public schools really know what it means to teach in AI? What do they understand by AI? Rather than just thinking, oh, it's only what we can do with our phones, by social media. There's more than that. So we need a lot of education investment. If you are able to develop that, you are not only developing the country, so you are developing a total man. And that also will reduce the level of poverty, because they will always believe that there is something for them to do.
I want a quick thought here on this as well. Isn't Nigeria's participation in regional economic communities, such as the African Continental Free Trade Area, meant to aid it to some extent by reducing its poverty rate?
Felicita, that's a big problem, because again, that's what I say, a big challenge for Nigeria, because we have not been able to take advantage of the African Continental Trade Agreement. It's not because we don't want to, but it's just because that when you look at that agreement and you look at Nigeria, you look at the kind of goods we produce, and then you look at the cost of production. What it means is that a good that is produced in Ghana is cheaper than a good that is produced in Nigeria, and Nigeria have the market. But again, if you bring a good from Ghana, because we have the market to compete with the Nigerian goods, then Nigerian goods will suffer. A lot of even most Nigerians will still buy the Ghanaian good because of the cost. And if you take Nigerian goods to Ghana, Nigerian goods will be more expensive, so the Ghanaian good will buy. So it's all boiled down to cost of production, which is a very very topical issue in Nigeria now. And when you look at cost of production, you are not just looking at only the fund. You are looking at cost of production in the area of productivity, cost of production in the area of manpower, cost of production also in the area of infrastructure. So you realize that to produce a particular product in Nigeria is more expensive, because this is driving that by high energy costs, high cost of petroleum product, whether PMS or whether gas, whether diesel, the lack of electricity. All these contribute to cost in terms of cost of production. That makes Nigerian goods more expensive. So that is the major challenge. Why we as a country, we're having the population, we are not definitely so ready to go into the African Continental Trade Agreement. We still prefer doing businesses with Chinese. We still prefer doing business with the United States. We still prefer doing businesses with European nations than doing businesses with our fellow Africans, because what it means is that most of our products are too expensive when you take them to African countries.
All right, Mokhtar, always a pleasure to have you on the news. Thank you for the insight you've provided.
My pleasure, always, Felicita.
The United Bank for Africa has announced a gross revenue of over 3 trillion naira and a profit after tax of 767 billion naira for the 2024 financial year. Chairman of the bank, Tony Elumelu, made this known during the UBA's 63rd Annual General Meeting in Abuja. Our correspondent, Joshua Imaraye, reports.
The meeting brought together several shareholders of the bank. The 63rd Annual General Meeting had key figures of the United Bank for Africa, including its group chairman, Tony Elumelu. Elumelu says that the UBA recorded 3.19 trillion naira in gross revenue and 767 billion naira profit after tax for the 2024 financial year.
Financial performance for the year totally outstanding. Your group delivered another very strong year, generating a gross revenue of 3.2 trillion naira and profit after tax of 767 billion naira. We successfully sustained our deposit mobilization efforts, growing total deposits by 42% to 24.6 trillion, up from 17.4 trillion in the corresponding period of 2023. Additionally, our loan book expanded by 35% to 7.5 trillion.
The group managing director spoke to journalists after the meeting, saying that the bank is repositioning itself to grow both revenue and profit in the 2025 fiscal year.
UBA is present today in 24 countries. None of our competitors has that number. We have announced today we are going to Saudi Arabia. We are increasing our authorization in France. We are investing more big in digital banking, the future of banking. A higher dividend is feasible, and we do that.
Following increased demands for a raise in the 5 naira dividend per share, shareholders of UBA are expressing optimism that the bank's management will meet their expectation of a 7 naira dividend payout.
Tony, you gave us 5 naira. With what I've seen from the first quarter, I want to give you a matching order that our dividend next year should not be less than 7 naira.
Coming from a lower dividend, now paying 5 naira, and that is the best in the industry for now. And that is also the first dividend being paid at a higher level. So we are very, very much glad with it, and we anticipate a better dividend in the coming year.
This year, 2024, they did very well, and we're expecting that they will do more, even in this year, 2025, because their first quarter result is excellent. And I'm sure they're going to pay more dividend than now. And particularly for the chairman of UBA, we say he has done very well.
The management of UBA says that it is on track to meet the new minimum capital requirement of 500 billion naira for international commercial banks as mandated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Still ahead, China denies it is currently in talks with the U.S. over tariffs. We'll bring you details of this story and others when we come back. Just stay with us. Outside Nigeria, China has begun exempting certain U.S. imports from its sweeping 125% tariffs and is actively asking firms to identify critical goods they need levy-free. This, according to analysts, is clearest sign yet that Beijing may be recalibrating its stance in the prolonged trade conflict with Washington. Meanwhile, in Washington, President Donald Trump said that tariff negotiations with China are ongoing and that Chinese President Xi Jinping had personally called him, a claim Beijing has denied, adding to a series of conflicting messages on where the two sides stand in the trade dispute. The UN's World Food Programme says its food aid stocks in Gaza are completely depleted due to Israel's 8-week total blockade. Gaza's government media office warned that the blockade has put more than 1 million children at risk of famine, pleading for the entry of food, medicine, and fuel to the Strip. The enclave's health ministry says the bodies of 84 people killed in Israeli attacks arrived at Gaza hospitals over the past 24 hours, including 6 who were previously killed and later recovered.
Food program, food supplies for our core food assistance program within Gaza are fully depleted. Since the 2nd of March, no humanitarian or commercial goods have entered, and our capacity to respond continues to decline. The 25 bakeries we used to support across Gaza Strip, serving 800,000 people, are no longer operational. Our remaining stocks were directed to hot meal kitchen, which are continuing to serve people in need, but these too are expected to run out by the end of the month.
Joanna is here for some business update. Meta appears to be in a mess, Joanna.
That's right. They are expected to pay over $200 million in fine for Facebook and WhatsApp data misuse. I'll bring you the details on this in a moment. The Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal has upheld the $220 million fine imposed on Meta Platforms Incorporated by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. In a statement on Friday, the FCCPC's Director for Corporate Affairs, Omodaje Ijagu, announced that the tribunal also awarded the Commission $35,000 to cover the investigation costs. Ijagu noted that the tribunal specifically ruled that the Commission complied with prevailing laws, discharged its mandate, and exercised its powers within the confines of the 1999 Constitution. And foreign exchange and money market transactions were the key drivers of Nigeria's secondary market activity in March 2025, accounting for a combined 70.35% of total turnover, according to the FMDQ Securities Exchange latest monthly report. Spot market transactions contributed 53.8 trillion naira to the total turnover in March, representing a 6.27% month-on-month drop compared to the previous month. This decline was largely due to a 6.54, about 1.21 trillion naira decrease in fixed income transactions and 22% drop in money market turnover. Despite the overall dip, FX market turnover rose by 8.59% or 1.73 trillion naira, mitigating the downturn in other segments and underscoring the continued investor appetite for foreign exchange amidst macroeconomic pressures. And on the local board, Dangote Cement had a major drag on the market. Otherwise, performance was fair. We see the market declined 30 basis points today. We're now the all-share index 105,752.61, and market capitalization is down to 66.46 trillion naira. If you come to the sectoral performances, you'll see that demonstrated. All other sectors pretty much in the green, but industrial is down a whopping 4.732%. Thanks to Dangote Cement. Banking sector saw a rebound today, up 1.55%. Insurance as well continuing its bullish run. Oil and gas and consumer goods in the green. And that's how we're closing the week on the NGX. That's business tonight for you. I am Joanna Mustafa. Tonight continues with Felicity.
Sports news is next with Tunde.
Hello and welcome to Sports News. It promised to be A bit on a sad note, we start tonight because the Nigerian football community is mourning the death of Alhaji Tade Aziz at the age of 63 after a brief illness. An omnipresent figure in Nigerian football, he was two-term chairman of the Nigeria Referees Association and vice chairman of the Lagos State Football Association. He also served in several capacities on various football committees. Admired for his sportsmanship and integrity, Tade Aziz rose from being one of the best referees in his era to becoming an astute football administrator. Meanwhile, Remo Stars are now just one win away from securing their first ever Nigeria Premier League football title following Rivers United's 2-0 defeat to Kano Pillars at the Sani Abacha Stadium earlier today in Kano. Former Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa opened the scoring in the 64th minute, while Rabiu Ali doubled the lead with a composed penalty in the 75th minute, his 11th goal of the season, to seal the win for Pillars and hand Remo a golden opportunity. Attention now shifts to Ikenne this weekend, where Remo Stars could complete their fairy tale season with a victory over Niger Tornadoes. Now, looking at other fixtures today, this weekend, Nasarawa United will take on Heartland. Ikorodu City will be guests of Akwa United. Kwara United will face Lobi Stars. Sunshine Stars will battle Katsina United. Shooting Stars will be guests of Abia Warriors. Plateau United will face Bendel Insurance. It's Bayelsa United versus El Kanemi Warriors. Enugu Rangers will also battle Eyimba in a Southeast derby. Meanwhile, Nigeria extended her lead at the medals table of the ongoing African Senior Weightlifting Championships in Mocha in Mauritius after another golden performance from the country's last competitor in the championships. Sarah Ovayoza Matthew in the women's 76-kilogram category. She picked up 177 kilograms and 130-kilogram lifts in the snatch and clean and jerk for a total lift of 237 kilograms, which fetched Nigeria 3 more gold medals to ensure the country's weightlifters finished with an astonishing 13 gold, 4 silver, and a bronze medal for a combined, 18 medals from 6 weightlifters. All 6 Nigerian weightlifters, including Onome Omolola Didi, Rafiatu Folashade Lawal, Ruth Imole Ayodele, 2022 Commonwealth Games bronze medalist Umoka Joseph Edidiong, and debutant Tuesday Emmanuel won 3 medals each. And tomorrow at London's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the continuation of a family feud 35 years in the making will see Chris Eubank Jr. face Conor Benn. Both men are illustrious sons of British boxing legends Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, who fought in November 1990 and then again in October 1993. Eubank Sr. won the first fight while the second ended in a draw. Their sons will finally meet in the ring after the initial bout in 2022 was cancelled amid controversial circumstances. Ahead of the fight, Chris Eubank Jr. will be fined $500,000 after narrowly missing the 160-pound weight limit for Saturday's high-stakes middleweight clash with Conor Benn in London. Eubank tipped the scales at 160.05 pounds during a behind-closed-doors weigh-in, breaching the contractually agreed limit. And former France international Patrice Evra is set to make his mixed martial arts debut on the 23rd of May in Paris, according to the Professional Fighters League. The 43-year-old who earned 81 caps for France and starred for Manchester United and Juventus will compete on a PFL Europe card at the Accor Arena. Evra has reportedly trained in combat sports since 2016 alongside PFL standout Cedric Doumbé. While the identity of his opponent is yet to be revealed, the announcement marks a surprising career shift for the former footballer. Known for his energetic personality, Evra hinted at a tongue-in-cheek challenge to ex-rival Luis Suarez, referencing their infamous 2011 clash. That fight will have plenty of bites. And that's all we have on Sports News tonight. It's back to you, Felicity.
Time for entertainment news. And they're always here. What's hot?
Well, I would say it seems the EFCC is not taking it lightly with anybody who mutilates the Naira. And Terry Akbala has been caught in the web, but I'll bring you the details shortly. A federal high court in Ikoyi, Lagos, remanded musician Terry Eje, popularly known as Terry Akbala, in a correctional center on Friday for allegedly mutilating Naira notes. The EFCC arraigned him on a charge of tampering with Naira notes during a social event on January 5th, 2025 at La Madison Place in Oniru. He pleaded not guilty The prosecution requested a trial date and for Terry Akpala to be remanded in custody. The defense filed a bail application seeking a hearing soon, but the prosecution opposed it. Justice Akintayo Aluko rejected the bail application and adjourned the case until May 5th, 2025, while ordering the defendant's remand in the Ikoyi Correctional Center. Felicity, it seems it is not business as usual anymore. If you spray money, you stay somewhere. That's it.
The thing I want to say, if I say it, they might come and arrest me. I will not say it.
Okay, I think I know what you want to say, but let's just leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Okay, so let's talk about some shocking discovery. Well, to some people, Nigerian music icon Innocent Idibia, Tubaba, and Edo State lawmaker Honorable Natasha Osawaru have officially completed their traditional marriage rites in a vibrant ceremony held in Benue State. The event, deeply rooted in Idoma cultural traditions, featured Natasha dressed in a traditional wrapper and headscarf as she was led into a gathering of Tubaba's Kingsmen by traditional dancers singing and celebrating. A viral video from the ceremony captured Tubaba making a lively entrance, spraying money on the dancers as part of the festive rites. The surprise marriage has stirred a wave of excitement and congratulatory messages on social media following earlier rumor of their engagement and upcoming nuptials. Now, I'm sure you have something to say about this.
I would say congratulations to Tubaba and his new bride. So long as you're an adult over 18, you're entitled to do what you want to do. It is his personal life,
yes, it is.
his choices.
Yes,
so the only thing I can say is congratulations to Baba.
Okay, yes, let's leave it at congratulations.
No, yeah, I know you want to say something.
I would just say congratulations to Baba. Like you said, his new bride. So it's like you go to a store and get a new one. But anyhow, that's all we have on entertainment tonight.
And that's the news tonight. But before we go, a reminder of our top stories. Senate President Godswill Akpabio leads Nigeria's delegation to the Vatican City ahead of Saturday burial of Pope Francis. Rivers Sole Administrator Vice Admiral Ibas requests for more time to present comprehensive reports to House of Representatives. UN World Food Programme says it is out of food aid stocks in Gaza due to Israel's 8-week total blockade. Do send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen. You can also follow us on social media to do that. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 27, Avo TV, and on YouTube.